Hey YouTube, Mark Kaufman here, and today I want to review and talk about the Bulova Clipper. Now this watch was a watch that I had actually had my eyes on for a little while, and I had the chance to work on one of these when a customer brought it in. And I have to say I was very surprised at the quality. Now first, let's get into the packaging. Packaging is pretty standard. Yours may not come with these stickers on it, but this here is pretty much what you get. And right here is the model number, 96A242. And you get your setting instructions and warranty information. And that's pretty much it. So it's pretty standard fare when it comes to the packaging, but it's better than nothing. So for me personally, I chose this watch because it reminded me of a watch that I had actually worked on about 6 years ago, and it was the original Bulova Clipper. And this watch here was actually originally introduced in 1958. So this is not a new design if you're thinking that. This has been around for a while. So right here I've got a catalog picture of its original release date, and there's a little bit of a close-up of that watch, and there will also be a few pictures of other models that shared this same kind of dial. Now this dial was actually passed around a few different models, but they were all clippers. They just had different case designs. This one here has this kind of case design. It has kind of a downward swept lug and a stepped bezel with a see-through case back, which is sporting the Miyota 8215 caliber movement. Now this is a slightly modified Miyota movement. This movement here actually has a new hacking lever system in it. So when you pull the crown out, the balance there will actually stop, and you're able to calibrate it to either an atomic clock or synchronize it to somebody else's watch if you're having to time something together. So that is a very good upgrade. That is a really good upgrade. So the original movement that were in these watches, though, was the 11ALAC caliber movement. Now, the one thing that was a little different about that movement was that it was also smaller. These watches were originally about 33 millimeters. This one is 39 millimeters with a 20 millimeter band. So this watch has a 20 millimeter band and a larger case size, and the original band that came with this watch is this crocodile strap. So it's 20 millimeters. It allows you to switch a lot of different straps back and forth with this model, but originally the movement was a lot smaller, and it had a different rotor and essentially in a different complete system of internal workings, but it was essentially a watch movement. But one of the things that it did right, I think, was the rotor. The rotor actually had a B on it. So right here is where we have the movement, and you can see that it did have a B on the movement for Bulova, and I thought that was a very classy thing to do. Now I know this is just a standard run-of-the-mill Miyota caliber movement. Yeah, it looks great, but personally I think if they did something with the rotor there, it would have made this a little more personal to the watch itself. Now this is a single rotating rotor, so it's only going to rotate and wind the watch clockwise, not counterclockwise. So, or should I say it winds the watch counterclockwise, but it won't wind it clockwise. There we go. So for me personally, I feel like this is a great piece. Now, the thing about this one is this is going to be a Macy's exclusive piece. Now, I'm going to show you what Macy's released. They released two different watches. They released a gold with a black dial, and then they released this blue with this silver stainless steel case. Now, I personally think the blue looks a lot better than the black. The black looks just, let's say, a little more classical. A little more dressy, of course, and I feel the blue is a little more casual, but can still be dressed up very, very easily. Personally, I find the blue to be the best, but there are also two other color options that you can get. You can get, and I'm going to just show you really quick the options you can have. You can have a silver dial with silver case, or you can have a silver dial with a gold case. And then, as I mentioned before, you have the black, and then you have the blue. Personally, I think the silver with the silver case, the silver with the gold case, and the blue are the ones to get. I'm not too crazy about the other options. Now, excuse me. Now, for me personally, I find this watch to be a fantastic buy. One of the reasons why I actually was turned on to this watch was because of its quality. This watch costs $150 to $200. Now, I paid $149, translated to be about 150 something bucks. And for me personally, I find that to be a very good deal, primarily because what you get is a stainless steel case. You get a mineral double-domed stepped or boxed crystal. You get a see-through case back, which personally I'm not too crazy about, but this is a dress watch, so I'm not expecting any extreme situations to happen to this. But what you get also with this is a very robust and very serviceable movement. The Miyota 8215 is a very easy watch movement to service. It's readily available. Personally, if you really needed to, you could just buy a new movement, pop it in here, and toss the old one out, because they're just that expensive. They cost about 60 bucks, and a service probably would cost about the same. So if you brought the movement to a watchmaker, you could just have them pop in the new one if you wanted. So there's that benefit, but the great benefit is that it has a metal movement ring. The movement ring in this is actually made out of metal. Now, I don't know what metal it is, but as you can see here, past the balance here, you can see this metal ring across here. Now, that is actually your movement holder or movement ring, and it is made out of metal. That is a big deal for a watch like this, because most watches in this price range and sports divers watches are sporting a plastic movement ring, and that really is not great, primarily because when you have a metal movement ring, it's going to be more robust, it's going to be more stable, and it's not going to be affected by humidity or the elements. With a plastic one, it can crack, deform, and be broken when it's being pulled out of the watch, depending on how thin it is. So if you break the plastic one, it's going to be tough to get a new one, but this metal one is going to be nice and robust. The other benefit to it is that the movement is actually screwed onto the movement ring. So right over here, we have an attachment or anchor screw with a clamp, and that clamp is holding the movement in place to the movement ring. This is a pretty big deal for a watch like this, because this is only 150 bucks, and the only company I know other than this that actually does stuff like this is Orient. Orient used a lot of metal movement rings in a lot of their watches and rarely used the plastic ones. If they did, they used it in the Orient 3-star. Now, this one here has a very beautiful blue dial. At first it looks polished, but it's actually a matte finish. It's a matte dial with applied indices. Now you're probably wondering, well, is the Lume any good? Well, let me charge it up really quick, and let's take a look. And there we go. So I have this Lume kind of charged up here. Let me see if I can get a little bit more charged up than that, just to give you a better representation of what it looks like. So there we go. So the Lume on this is decent, but I will say this, it could be a lot better. You could relume it, but that'd cost you money. I find this to be good enough and better than nothing. However, it does diminish rather quickly. Unfortunately, that is the case with this one, but I am just happy that they actually did it, and it actually does do the job. Now, for me, the original one did have luminous hands, but they were using a radioactive material, which actually is quite hazardous. This is going to be just either, well, it's not tritium, but it's going to be a Luminova-esque caliber luminous material. I'm just kind of stumbling over my words there, but this is going to be some kind of luminous material that is going to be reminiscent of Luminova. Now, Luminova is going to be probably a little more powerful than this, but I don't know what Bulova is exactly using. Now, Bulova is actually owned by Citizen now. So Citizen owns Bulova, and then they own Alpina, they own Frederic Constant, and they own one other company. But Citizen has bought a few of these brands, and they're all under their umbrella of companies and cases and stuff like that. So one of the benefits to this is when you do call them up, you're going to be able to get a service from them, a movement from them, and you're going to know it's coming from Citizen. Miyota is made by Citizen. Now, most people think Citizen just makes EcoDrive watches, but they actually do make automatics, and this is one of their calibers, and it's a very good one. So for me personally, this is a great watch. It's probably a good option for you if you want a watch that's going to be dressy, casual, easy to wear, easy to read, and probably just something that's not going to be too flashy, depending on which one you want. Of course, you can get the silver dial. You can get the gold with the black, or you can go with the silver dial gold, and just personally for me, I think the blue is the way to go, because in certain light the blue actually looks like a black dial. So like in lower light it kind of looks black and kind of subdued, but then when you go outside and go into brighter light, you can see that blue flashes right off the dial like that. So thought you guys would enjoy seeing this watch and a little bit of history behind it. It is surprising to see how old this watch is actually, and that Bulova was willing to bring this style back. They're doing a lot of recreations of watches that they used to make back in the day, and I have to say I'm very happy about it, especially if they're able to bring it to you at a price like this with very good quality components. So thank you guys again for joining my channel and letting me talk to you guys about this watch. Till the next one, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.